Hello everyone, it's Professor Oleander there again, once again back from the dead. Sorry that I have not been around. A lot of stuff has been going on. I started a new job a couple months ago. It carried me 2 states away, so I've been busy with that, moving, and here lately we've been working 12 and 14-hour days, and I just have not had time to do anything at all. So you might be asking yourself, what the hell is this thing? Well, this is a big steam locomotive. If you've been keeping up with the channel, you saw me run this from Cheyenne to Laramie, firing it by myself, and there's good reason for it. I don't normally do stuff like this, but this deserves a special mention. I don't think I've ever told any of you guys this, but I was a fireman on a steam locomotive for about 6 years with a small railroad up in North Carolina, which is where I'm from. And I've had train simulator since about 7 years ago when it was Railworks. And before that I had played Microsoft Train Simulator. And the steam locomotives in Microsoft Train Simulator were actually pretty good. The ones in Railworks, not so much. For those of you that have had Railworks for a long period of time, you know that once you bought it, they upgrade it just about every year. So I got it like back in 2010, and I've gotten the new version of it every year without having to pay for it. They just keep upgrading me, so I got to 2015. And I had just about lost hope in this game. The physics are off on it, the steam locomotives are terrible, the diesels are not much better. There's not a whole lot of attention to detail on anything. It looks pretty, but in terms of handling and the stuff that you're actually going to be seeing all the time, like the cab, there's just not a lot of effort that goes into it. And it's not just I'm not just talking about the add-on content, I'm talking about the stuff that's in the game originally. And it's almost like they're selling themselves cheap. This, on the other hand, kind of restored my faith in the game. This is the FEF-3 locomotive add-on. The 844, the big UP Northern. If you don't know what FEF stands for, it's 484, which is the wheel arrangement. Let me get over here to the side here. So that comes from the white notation, which is it. You look at the side profile here. Now the Russians do it a little bit differently. The Russians would call this 242 because that's what you can actually see from the side. But with the white notation, you go by number of total axles or total wheels. So we have 4 here on the pilot truck, which helps it negotiate turns. We have 4 driving wheels, which are the big ones here in the middle, and then you have 4 trailing truck wheels back here. And so that's where you get 4, 8, 4. So you go by the pilot truck, then the drivers, and then the trailing truck. Hey, a train. That is that's the horn from the railroad where I work now. They're actually out running. They're just leaving from over at the shop area. We might hear CSX. The Georgia line runs very close to where I am right now, and they get pretty loud because they're only about a mile or so away from here. But anyway, let's start talking about this thing. Now, I had said that this locomotive restored my faith in this game, and there's good reason for it. If you're familiar with the other locomotives that are in the game, they're kind of bland looking, and they don't sound that right, or they don't sound good, and they just, I don't know, they look like, it's almost like you're playing with a train set, and not with something that's actually had a lot of thought put into it, something that looks like it could have been on the main line at one point. And what I mean by that is, if we come up here and we look at these elephant ears, which are otherwise known as smoke deflectors, look at all these bolts right here. Every single one of these is 3D. Now this is the HD high definition version. The standard definition is pretty much the same. I don't think it has the bolt heads, but I mean, I could put a standard definition the standard definition version of this one right beside it, and it would look identical. From a distance, I mean, if I got back about right here, they would look identical to each other. The only difference is when you get up close to it, to save on poly counts, you don't have quite as much detail up close. But I mean, this is amazing what he was able to do. The guy's name is Mike Rennie, otherwise known as Smokebox, and I'll put some links down in the description to where you can purchase this if you've got the game, and also to the Facebook page where you can read up on it. This is probably the most beautiful mod that I have ever seen in terms of how much thought went into doing it. He virtually re-scripted the game to make this engine behave the way it does. And like I said, I was a fireman on a steam locomotive that was an oil burner for 6 years, and the first time that I got into this and saw how everything worked, it took me back to my days back when I was firing. And that's saying something. And I know a gentleman, I actually worked with a gentleman who worked on the the 290, the 4501. He messed around with the J, the 611, and he got it the same night that I did, and we didn't know that we were going to get it. We didn't even know it was coming out, and he was floored by it. I mean, absolutely floored. He said he'd never seen anything like it before in his life, and he said the same thing that I did. It's as close as you're going to get, and apparently we're not the only ones, because looking through the comments on the Facebook page, a lot of people bought Train Simulator 2015 specifically for this locomotive, so that's saying something in itself. So let's look around this thing and see what all we got. Like I said, we've got the elephant ears here. I love how you've got the braces and everything. They actually show the wrinkling, which is the way these things behave. Because this is a heavy piece of steel right here, and it's two pieces, and which he's got. Most places, I think he's got two pieces there. It looks like it. That looks like a seam. I don't think that's one piece. I'm pretty sure that's one piece there, and then one piece up there. And anyway, it looks like it. But I mean, this is some of the attention to detail. This looks like it's wrinkled, which is the way that they were. You can actually see the braces right there where it comes around and ties back to the smoke box. And one other thing, this is something else that I just noticed. Well, I thought that was a bolt. Never mind. I thought the bolt went through. Oh, hey, Haley. Now this is something else right here. This is something that you're not going to necessarily see, but the braces for the steps, I mean, they're in here. They're where they need to be. Something else that I noticed the other night was if you get close to the metal here, you see this kind of spotty looking stuff? That is from a couple of different things. That's from casting. That's like casting marks where the molds, they use sand to cast anything that's in steel or anything cast iron. And part of that is like orange peel, for those of you that are familiar with painting. It's sort of a kind of a wrinkly where it's not a smooth finish. Sometimes the paint doesn't dry evenly and you get a little bit of a wrinkle to it. And that was something that I didn't really notice until I got up close the other night, and I got to looking at it, and I was like, holy cow, he's got that in there too. And I mean, it's just amazing what he's put into it. And then we've got the little smoke box emblem up here on the front, which is cool because UP, this is the same style that UP uses for their special excursions. The number plate up here, the 844, this is 3D rendered as well. Get over here to the, well, if I can do it without going too fast. But this is 3D. All these letters and everything is 3D. The headlight looks beautiful. Number boards on the other side of the headlight. The Mars light up here at the top. All of the teeth that hold the smoke box, we call these dog ears. And then every single one of the bolts that hold the smoke box on is 3D. Then you've got your steps here for going up and changing the section marker lights. You know, your other number boards. I mean, this is an absolutely beautifully done locomotive. I can't say that enough. I mean, it still blows me away every time I look at it. And every time I look at it, I find something else that I missed. The pilot hood here for the coupler. And let me see if I can remember how to open this. I think it's Control Shift P. Or is it Shift P? Or Alt Shift P? Oh, I didn't know. What am I thinking? These are dead engines right now. I don't have control of them, so whenever I do, we'll look at that. But anyway, the coupler is actually hidden back here behind this. In the later stages, especially for passenger service locomotives, they would actually hide the front coupler to kind of dress them up a little bit. The J had it. I'm sorry. The 611 had it. The Norfolk and Western 611. I believe the A, all of the A's had that as well. The 1218. I don't know if the Y6s had it. I think the Daylight has it, the 4449 as well, which is another big locomotive like this one too. I mean, speaking of, I don't know if you can get the sense of scale on this thing. If I remember right, let me look up here. 80-inch drivers, yep. So each one of these big wheels right here, these big driving wheels, these are 80 inches tall. So if I were standing beside it, and I'm about 6'1", this is about where my head would be. So I mean, this is a very, very massive engine, and the game doesn't really do it justice, because you can get up here on it and you say, oh, it's kind of small, but no. I mean, this is about eye level for me, somewhere around in here, just above the the reach rod. Let's see, what else have we got up here? You know, nicely animated bell. Well, the bell's not animated. The clapper's not animated. I don't think it is. I don't remember it being. One of the other things that's kind of cool. See these little things right here. These are the flag pockets. Is another little touch. I mean, it's stuff that you don't even think about. You don't see it in other locomotive or on other locomotives. The step right here for getting up and changing the light bulbs and changing your number boards. I mean, it's there. Same thing on the other side. The wires going to the Mars light. The wires going to the headlight. The hand grab right here on the headlight. The grab iron right here on the front above the pilot. The vents down here. I mean, it's this kind of stuff that is what sets this apart from every other locomotive that you've ever seen in the game. You've got the pole pockets here. Now, what these things are is back in the old days when they were doing switcher service, you would have a big pole somewhere on the engine. There'd be a place where you could store it, and it was a pole that was about 3-4 inches in diameter. And let's say you had a car over here on this track. Well, rather than bring the engine down that track, if you wanted to, for whatever reason, if it was light rail or if you really couldn't get the engine down in there because of tight curves, you would set the car over onto this track. You would take the pole, and some poor soul, usually a brakeman, would have to put the pole in this pocket, and then he would put the pole in the pocket on the car, and then the engine would push, which is why it was called a push pole. Now, if you haven't already figured it out, you're talking about a big piece of wood that can, 1, slip out of this pocket, 2, break, or 3, all of the above. And a lot of men got killed by them, and they got outlawed not long after this engine was built. This engine was built in 1944 by the American Locomotive Company, otherwise known as ALCO, in Schenectady, New York. So yeah, not long after this engine was built, these things got outlawed. Actually, that might be wrong. It might have been later than that, because I've known diesels that were built in the 50s that still have these. But anyway, it's very dangerous stuff. The railroad was very dangerous to work on. It still is, to be honest. But yeah, going back up here to the builder's plate, that's another touch that you don't really see on other locomotives. At least, where am I at? Let me go over here and look at this one. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is something that you don't normally see, and even if it's on there, you really can't read it. These are the superheater headers that go in down to the cylinders, and again, the 3D model bolts. Let's go back over here to the 844 for a second. The stuff down here is just absolutely amazing. I think that he has mentioned that the bump map for the wheels did not get put on. It may have gotten fixed. I can't remember. He's got a patch that he's working on that should be out shortly. Beautiful mirrored surface on the cylinder head covers and on the valve cover up here. Same thing over here, the little panels where you can get in there. These brasses right here, let me actually say this. These bolts right here, the 4 and the little screws here and here and here and there, those are what hold this cover on. So you've got a metal cover that covers these cylinders, and then you've got fiberglass or some other type of insulation. It used to be asbestos, but asbestos is bad for you. We don't use that anymore. But yeah, you would have some kind of insulation in here to keep the heat inside the cylinders. These brass plugs up here are actually wedge adjustments for the valve. So this is going to wear more than the cylinder because this moves back and forth. It actually wears into certain. The piston goes all the way back and forth. The valve can be shortened. So if you're in full cutoff, it's going the entire length. The closer and closer you get to the center, the shorter and shorter the stroke gets. So you get wear spots in it, so to compensate for it, you can make adjustments with these if it starts getting loose, and then eventually you have to pull them out and change the sleeve. And I'll explain that a little bit more once we get ready to run this thing, which we'll do it in another video. I just want to go around this thing real quick. Here's our Nathan lubricator. You notice all the oil lines going down. That's another thing that a lot of other engines don't have. Another grab iron right here, the castle nut on top of the cross that's not the crosshead, that's the crosshead. This is the for the valve. The rods going up to the lubricator, this actually has animation on it. Every rod on this thing has got animation, and it's the way that it's supposed to work. This rod going up, this one, I can't remember the name of these. I can tell you that this is a Walschertz design. I don't remember all the names of them. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that this one's called the reach rod. This is the radius rod. This, I think, is the combination link. It's either that one or that one. And then this is a link for the lubricator. This one I can't remember. But, you got the links. We call these dog bones. That's a dog bone. Dog bone. Because that's what they look like. They look like a dog bone. It's got a yoke on either end of it, and then it's got it in the middle, so we call those dog bones. Oh, notice something right there. See this right here? This is a grease fitting. That is a button head grease fitting. And this is the first time that I've noticed it. So there's something else. These are, excuse me, safety wire holding the nut from moving. And again, the lubricator lines for the crosshead. And let's see what else we got up here. These, I'm not 100% sure what they are on this engine. I want to say that they're tied with the lubricator. I'm not sure. This is the drifting valve. I'm fairly certain. When you're going downhill and you're closed throttle, to keep the cylinder from sucking air out of the dry pipe, it actually pulls a little bit of air in here, so that way you don't get a vacuum. This is a roller bearing engine. You can tell by the way that the rods are designed. They've got the round end on them. If they were square, they'd be plain. You've got the big eccentric here with the bearing there, and then of course going up to the This might be the eccentric rod now that I think about it. I'm sure people know. You can look up on anything about Walshart's valve gear if you're curious about it. This is very similar to Baker valve gear, which is the newest version of this, the latest version, and it's supposed to be more efficient. I've never had much dealing with Baker. The engine that I was on had Stevenson, and Walshart's is kind of nice. You get power reverser and everything, and we'll talk about that in just a second. This, I'm not sure. Again, I've never been on this engine. I don't know the ins and outs. That's something that I've actually just noticed recently. I'm not 100% sure what that is. I want to say that that's some kind of air filter. It's some kind of filter housing, whether it's air or something else. There's the train again. I like how the lights have got how they've got a glow to them. You know, the big drivers down here. Like I said, a lot of attention to detail. Even the polish on the rods and the tint. This is the way they are, because what you've got the gland right here, which is it's a graphite rope that acts as a seal, and this lubricator has got steam oil in it, which is a tallow-based oil, and because oil does not dissolve into water, you use a special oil that will spray out into a mist once steam hits it, and it's sort of a brownish color, and this is where this tinge comes from. That's oil soaked, so that's another nice little touch. And again, castle nuts right here, regular nuts. These look like they've been peened over, to be honest, which is the way they should be, because you don't want this thing coming off while you're going down the road. This engine, by the way, will go, I think flat out, this one will go over 90. An engine roughly the same size, which is the J, I know will go over 100. It has been over 100 off the record, but yeah, these engines would go fast. The Hudsons, which were New York Central's babies, and the Santa Fe's, they would go over 100 all day long. Big drivers on them. I think they were like 100 inches or something like that. So I mean, they're just massive things. And you know, that's like I'm saying. This is an 80-inch driver right here, and 80-inch driver. These things right here are almost 2 feet. This rod is almost 2 feet wide, and all this stuff right here is just going round and round and round and round and round and round and round. You're talking about a couple tons, several tons worth of metal right there, going 100 miles an hour. The fact that they were able to keep these things together is a miracle. So yeah, I mean, it's just, this is why I love steam engines, because you can see everything that works on them and just the way that they're designed. Because I'm a gearhead. I mean, I'll freely admit that I'm an absolute gearhead. This right here is our power reverser, and this also has animation on it, and in the next video we'll kind of show that. It actually goes back and forth. And as I found out, this one was air-powered, and I had always thought that they were steam-powered, because I've never been on an engine that actually had one. I'd always assumed that they were steam-powered, and as I found out, they were air with steam backup, which makes sense. You don't want water condensing in here because water doesn't compress, and if it was steam-powered and you had a little bit of a leak and water got in there, then you have absolutely no control over your running gear, which is a very bad thing. One other thing I didn't point out was the cylinder cocks down here. That's these things. These are steam powered, and what they do is when you're sitting, you would open these, and that lets any steam that's still inside the cylinder here condense down and it drains out. If you don't open these before you get ready to move, see this big thing right here? Well, this is the cover. Underneath that is a big cylinder head. It's about 2.5 inches thick, and let me see, it is, it's 25 inches wide. So this is a little bit over 2 2 feet or so. That thing, if you don't open those, this big chunk of steel right here will go flying that way. And it has happened. Engineers would forget to open these. They'd go to take off. The cylinder head would go that way. It's not good. I mean, they're designed to do that. The studs are designed to break away instead of breaking anything back here. But yeah, try calling the chief mechanic and tell him that you blew the cylinder head off of it, and try talking your way out of that, because I guarantee he's not going to believe you. Again, step down here, that's to get to the lubricator, and these, just all kinds of stuff on here. I mean, I marvel at this thing every time I look at it. The clamps holding the pipes. This looks like something that was added later. These are cutouts for weight, and it looks like they had to go back and rebalance them. And so that's another nice little touch. The primary driver right here with the bigger weight. Going back here, the bearing caps on the trailing truck. Brake cylinder here. These actually work, and when I have control of the engine, we'll see those. And while we're down here looking at it, the sanders actually do work too. Let's see if I see anything else in the frame. That's the sand pipe coming down. We'll look up there in just a second. Let's get through the bottom here. Now down here, this is the blowdown, which in the game is called the blow-off cock. Yes, this locomotive is full of cocks. This is the overflow. Actually, this is the overflow for the live injector. This is the water valve, and then that's the overflow from it. The live injector is actually this big thing right here. You notice the water pipe coming down from the tender goes in, and it's got a steam feed, and I'll show you how that works once we get inside. But what you would do is you open up the water valve, and you've got steam, and it goes through this thing. There's like 4 nozzles in here, and it injects the water into the boiler at a slightly higher pressure than what the boiler has, and that's how you fill the water back up inside here. This I think this is the detector. This one's got, I cannot remember the name of it. It's got a detector that tells you when you've got a lot of scale in the boiler, and it will do an automatic blowdown. I think that's what that is. If not, then there's a blowdown up here, right there. It's a sludge remover, and that might be what that's for. Again, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that this is something to do with that sludge remover. One of the other things, this is the other blowdown right here. This is actually where they fill the boiler up now. But yeah, what you would do is when you'd be running, you would actually do what's called a blowdown. And so, just to explain that really quickly, you got this big boiler right here, and you got water in it. Well, water's not 100% pure, and even back then they didn't really use distilled water. They used water from wherever they could get it. So even your local water sources have got trace elements of minerals in it. With the steamer, if you've ever put water on a stove in a pot and you boil it away, you notice that there's a little film inside inside the pot. Well, that's kind of sort of scale. That's the mineral deposits. If you let them solidify in the boiler, it turns into scale. Scale coats everything. You don't get a heat transfer between your tubes and your water, and the engine fires badly. Not only that, certain types of scale will actually cause a condition known as foaming. No, not the rail fan disease, but it will actually make the water turn into foam. The water gets sloshing back and forth in here as the engine's in motion. And if you think about, take like a bottle or something and fill it about halfway full with soapy water and then shake it. And what happens is all the water turns into foam, and then it occupies all of the space of the boiler. And what happens is your water disappears. Water is the coolant. It works as a coolant, so you've got this big firebox here that's running at 1200, 3000 degrees. And that's the temperatures at which metal actually begins to distort. So what you do is you surround it by water. And if any part of this becomes uncovered, then you run the risk of it becoming distorted and actually blowing up. And a matter of fact, that's what caused the majority of boiler explosions, was they were running them too low on water. And you've ever heard the expression uncovering the crown sheet or crowning over? The crown sheet's the very top portion of the firebox. There's a line inside the cab that marks it on this locomotive. You want to keep the water above that mark as far as possible, because if it comes uncovered, then all that hot metal gets very, very rapidly becomes heated, and all these little bolts right here, these little round things, these are called stay bolts. So what you've got is you've got an outer shell here for the boiler, and then you've got inside of that you've got a smaller portion of this, and then in between the two you've got water. And these stay bolts hold the two together. So you've got pressure around it, and then you've got the firebox in there that's just kind of hanging by these bolts. Excuse me. And what would happen is, if you uncover the firebox, the inner shell starts to distort, and it starts warping, and in very extreme cases, depending on how much fire you've got in it, it will actually tear. This locomotive, I'm not sure how it was designed, but if you've ever heard of the Gettysburg explosion, which was a locomotive that was run at the Gettysburg Railroad, they had a condition where the water glasses stopped up, and it was telling them it had more water in it than it actually did. And what happened was they actually started uncovering the crown sheet, and the way that crown sheet was designed, it rips apart in sections. So it's starting up here at the front, which is the crown sheet was kind of sloped, so the very top knuckle right here would become exposed, and once it did, it ripped apart the first course, and the steam is designed to put out the fire. Or it's designed so when it rips apart like that, the steam would actually put out your fire inside here. And I think the fireman described it as, it sounded like a 22 bullet going off, and the next thing they knew, steam was all inside the cab where it was rolling back in. It actually saved their life, to be perfectly honest. And I think it ripped the entire first course, and then it started ripping the second course, and then it finally stopped. But yeah, anyway, I don't know how I got on that, but that's how fireboxes work. But yeah, that's what these are, stay bolts. They hold the firebox in place, and now I remember, talking about water and everything. The blowdown right here, as you boil water away, it coats everything inside there. And that's also what this is. This portion right down here where you see this row of, these two rows of rivets, this is called the mud ring. And it's called the mud ring for a reason, because that's where all the mud goes. So as the stuff boils away, it settles down in here. So you can blow down from here, which just sends a jet of steam way out yonder way. And the purpose of this sludge remover is it actually picks up some of that stuff that's in the mud ring, and then it shoots it out the top, which is where these streaks come from. If you were curious, why there's streaks on the side of the boiler. There goes the train. This is residue from the sludge remover up here. So yeah, that's that in a nutshell. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. I could talk about these things all day because they're just fascinating. But yeah, the rivets down here on the bottom for the mud ring. These bigger caps right here, these are your flexible stays. These are more rivets where the firebox comes together. This is known as a wrapper sheet, and then the firebox is inside that. So this all holds the wrapper sheet to the firebox. These plugs right here in the corner, these are the washouts. So what you would do is when you dump the boiler, in order to get all the crud and everything that's deposited in here from the water boiling away with the impurities and everything we just talked about, you would pull these plugs out and you would wash down the side of the mud ring. You'd wash this way and you'd wash that way. And some only have a couple of them, some have a bunch. The engine that I worked on only had the corner plugs. Of course, it was much, much smaller than this one. And we didn't have any flexible stays in that engine. They were all rigid. By the way, these are rigid. These are flex. Okay? There'll be a pop quiz afterwards. I promise. I'm kidding. Well, anyway. This one looks like... I want to say that's a fire door, but it's not. It kind of looks like... I don't know what that is. I've wondered... I want to say it's a derail or a re-rail, or... it kind of looks like a re-rail. I've never seen one. I don't know. I've never seen one shaped like that, I should say. I've seen a re-rail, but I've never seen one shaped like that. Let's see what else we got. We got more castellated nuts right there with the pin in it. Let's just work on the bottom here. So we got the centipede tender back here. Each one of these is a bearing cap. And again, the same thing with the brakes. These actually do work. The springs for the trucks. These panels do open. Like I said, I don't have control of the engine right now. This hook right here is where I want to say that the pole, the push pole that we were talking about earlier, hooks. I don't know for sure. It may have been something that was added on later. Leaf springs, and I didn't even look. Yeah, there they are. Spring hangers and the leaf springs and everything. So yeah, again, very, very nicely done. A lot of attention to detail. Even the stuff that's inside the frame that most people would just overlook, he's got it done. So that's just, I mean, it's just awesome how much work he's actually put into this thing. Ladder on the back, the correct bracing for it. We'll talk about the side there in just a second. The MU stuff here on the back, I don't know, these are the MU air hoses, and then this is the main train line hose, which is stuck open, which is another thing that's kind of sucky about Train Simulator, is that all the locomotives have dangling air hoses. Don't ask me why. I mean, anyway. I think this is water fill, fuel fill. These might be for the A tank, the auxiliary tank. I don't know. Again, it's one of those things that I'm not sure of. This one right here, I know this is the MU cable. That's the MU connector port. 23,500 gallons, that's water. Amron Shea 2000, February 2005. I don't know exactly what that stands for. I believe this is the paint. Done at Cheyenne in February of 2005. These two, I have no idea. I don't know off the top of my head what they are. I haven't been able to find out. So if anybody knows, I'd love to know. It's just one of those things. The bolt back here on the draft gear and the coupler, cut levers and everything. And there's no pin. Oh my God! How are we going to pull the pin, man? There's no pin. It's cool, but yeah, water fill. Your sight glass for your water. And I don't know if this engine if you have a way to tell what the water level is inside the cab. I've always been curious about that ever since I started messing with this locomotive. I don't know if they can tell how much water they've got or not. I'm sure they can. The backup headlight, backup Mars light, another ladder on the side, and again, you know, the step over here, the step over there, grab irons up here at the top. Same thing down the side. Now let's talk about the sides of these things. Look at all these freaking rivets. And you can see it really good right there. I mean, look, there's 10,000 rivets in this thing. I'm not lying. There's bloody 10,000 rivets in it. Every single one of them modeled. I mean, who does this? Some crazed madman sat down and did every single one of these. Not only that, you see here where you've got some color distortion. That's how they are in real life. And this blew my mind because it was something I didn't notice until I really got to look into this engine. It was a couple days ago. I mean, this is like oxidation. And if you go up to an engine that's been painted and it's been set out in the weather for a while, this happens. This is so cool that he actually took the time to put that in. I mean, it's one of those things that still blows my mind. Every single rivet down here on the side, and by the way, these are rivets for the braces that are inside the tender. But I mean, it's just, this is why I love this locomotive so much, is because he put stuff in there that people wouldn't even think about. And he didn't do it here, but he did it here. The overlap on the rivet. I mean, the overlap of the paint on the rivet. You can see, actually I see what he did. That's where the paint's wearing through. You can actually see a little bit of paint right there, and then you can see where it's wearing through it. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to sound like I'm in love, but, you know, I just might be. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. Up here on the top, these are the water fill tanks. And I'm not sure what this is in the middle. This might be a skimmer. This looks like something that was added later. Now, one thing I will say is I don't know how this engine was arranged originally. I don't remember if it was coal originally and then converted to oil. Based off of the rivet pattern here on the side, it looks like it might have been, because this would have been the end of the water tank. This, get where I can see it. I did the low light like this because it looks a little bit better. But there's a line of rivets that go this way, and that's the actual end of the water tank. And then that's the start of what would be the coal bunker right in here. Now you've actually got sort of a horseshoe configuration where the water still wraps around. Get up here so you can see it. You have sort of a horseshoe tank configuration where, come on, the water kind of goes around this way, and then you've got coal in here. And like I said, I don't remember if this engine was coal fired at one point, then it was converted to oil. I think that they were built as oil burners. UP was really one of the first big railroads to adapt oil burners. You've got different valves up here. I think this is the main fuel valve, and then you've got another one and another one. I think this is actually I think that might be the one to check it. It's like a dipstick. You pick it up and stuff like that. But yeah, that's tank. This pipe right here is tank heat. So you're taking steam from the boiler and you're running it down through there and heating it up, so you don't use as much energy trying to heat the oil up in order to burn it. And that's another long conversation there, talking about how these things actually fire, because this isn't, you don't shovel an oil burner. You fire an oil burner, I guess is how you would say it, but we'll talk about that later. Again, more compartments, these open. Steps going up into the cab. Now let's talk about these numbers here real quick. Now somebody's probably going to come back and tell me you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're probably right, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So I'm sticking my tongue out at you right now, even if you can't see it. More rivets and everything down here. But anyway, FEF-3 484-3. This is the third set of these engines that was built for UP. I think there was 25 in the first set, and then 15 in the second set, and then 10 in the last. This was the last locomotive out of the set. So 800 to 844 were the ones that were built, and this was the very last steam locomotive built for the Union Pacific Railroad. 80-inch or -80. I'm pretty sure this is driver diameter. 80-inch diameter drivers. 25/32 bore over stroke. 25-inch bore, 32-inch stroke. Not the biggest in the world, but still pretty good size. 266. I'm pretty sure this is tonnage. This is working tonnage. 266 tons is what this locomotive weighs. And then, of course, UP. No idea what that stands for. I'm kidding. Union Pacific. So yeah, more rivets down here on the side of the cab. The side vents right here. These actually do open up, and they're modeled on the outside as well. Nice looking window. This is the armrest right here. This is again something else that most people would overlook. Now, let me see. Yep, yeah, it is. Now, notice this handrail right here. There's a handrail running right alongside the cab. Now, most people would wonder, why is that there? Well, let me tell you. You see how far it is to the front of that engine? And, of course, it's kind of hard to see from here because you don't get the sense of scale. But think about these drivers right here. These are 80-inch drivers. Okay? This engine, I don't know exactly how long it is, but I think it's something like 60 feet. So let's say you've got a problem with your dynamo right here, or you got a problem with your sander, something. You got to get up here and work on it. It's closer to the cab. In order to get down there, you got to come out of the cab. You got to get down here on the ground. You got to walk all the way up here to the front. And then you got to get up on the steps, and then you got to climb up onto the boards, and then you got to walk all the way back down here. What they would do is, that's why this grab iron is here, and some of you might have figured it out already. You open this window, and right down here, see how there's a little bit of a ledge? You would grab a hold, and then you'd put your foot on that ledge, and you would kind of shimmy down the side here, and then you'd hop up onto the running board. I've done that before. I've been on the N&WJ. I've been on the 611. A good friend of mine was with the original steam excursion with NS, so he knows the guys up there very well, and he gave me a personal tour of the 611, and that was how we got into the cab, because the back portion of it right here is covered with plexiglass. So the only other way to get into it was to go through the window, and that's what we did. We climbed up over here, and then we went in through the window like they would have done back in the old days. It was kind of cool to do it, because not many people are able to get into the engine now. Of course, now that it's under restoration, it's a little bit different, but that's another topic for another day. But let's go ahead and start looking at some of the stuff on the boiler here before it starts getting dark. So we got some more washout plugs that go down through the jacket, which is another nice touch. More steps, 3D rendered bolts. All these bolts down here for the jacket. Even the latches for the jacket as well. That's all modeled, which is something that's very, very cool. You don't see that. And again, the streaks from the sludge remover. The access panels for the sander. That's what these things are here. So you got the big sand dome right there, and you've got your access for the air control for it, and then you've got the pipe coming down this way, and you got a pipe coming down that way, and they kind of bend back over this way, and then one bends back over that way, and you know. This is the, I don't remember if this is where the feed water pump injects or if this is where the live injector comes through, but that's what this is. And the thought process behind these is it's actually got a nozzle on the inside that kind of sprays the water down the sheets of the boiler to help preheat the water before it hits the. See, you've got really, really hot water in the boiler, and this is a 300 psi engine, so the water is well over 500 degrees. I think it's actually closer to 650. And you don't want to take cold water and put it in there. It's almost the same thing as throwing water onto a hot griddle. One, it shocks the boiler, and two, it cools it off. And when you cool a boiler off, you lose pressure. You don't want to do that. So what they would do is they would let the water spray down the sheets and let the metal preheat it before it got into the boiler, so that way you're being more efficient with how you put it in. Let's see here. These are the safeties. The main safety is right here, and then you've got two larger ones. These are your, well, I'm going to go ahead and say it. These are the oh shit ones. If this one will go off when you get to working pressure. These two will go off if you're getting towards absolute. If you're getting towards the point where there's going to be a big failure, and these are probably set for like 320 psi. If you get to that, these will go off, and they will probably dump somewhere around 150 pounds. So yeah, bad day if you set one of these off. Like I said, those are the ones you don't want to hear. This is the one you hear all the time. You know, even the sand dome covers are remodeled. It's an access panel and access panel. Grab irons on both of those. Again, nice touches. You know, the latches up here on top. This is the throttle access. Go here on the side so you can see it. This bar, where is it? There it is. This Z bar right here, this is part of the throttle that goes all the way back in the cab. This is what's called a grapevine throttle. So you pull it back, and then this bar goes forward, or goes backwards, this one goes forward, and then you notice right here, this is where it goes in through the smoke box, and then this is the access panel for it. And we actually had a discussion the other day on the Facebook page about this. Mike wasn't aware of it at the time when he modeled this. He thought it was one large throttle, and it's actually a series of valves in here that open sequentially. So you've got a smaller primary valve, which I had thought that the primary was bigger, but it's actually not, because the engine I was only had one. So you have a primary valve that opens whenever you first start rolling, and you've got other ones that begin to open to allow more and more steam through the from the superheaters down into the cylinders. So this one's got a front end throttle. A lot of the older saturated steams, they'd have a dome somewhere back in here called the steam dome. The whistle was usually mounted there, and they would take from the highest point of the boiler the steam and apply it to the cylinders. And then most of the later ones, can't remember if the 765 has got a front end boiler, I don't think, or a front end throttle, I don't think it does. The J does. The Norfolk & Webster J has a front end throttle like this, and it's actually tied through the superheater. The whistle on this one, given that where it is, I would say that this is superheated as well. This is taking superheated steam, so it's after the superheater. It's not taking it from boiler. And what superheaters are is you've got a series of tubes in there that carry heat from the firebox to the front end, and then exhaust it up the stack. And on top of those, you have bigger ones that have got smaller pipes that run through them that have got water. So you've basically got a fire tube boiler for one half of it, and then you have a water tube boiler for the other half. And the big power plants, that's what they use, is water tube boilers, because you can get very, very high pressure out of it. That's how you get 300 psi out of this. So naturally, or a saturated engine will only get up to about 200 psi. Once you get into superheated, the sky's the limit. You know, you can go as far as you can contain it. 300 psi was about the end of the world. That's about all you wanted to deal with these things. And if you go above that, you're asking for trouble. But yeah, you have a series of smaller pipes that run back and forth in here through, and they get heated the second time. So you've got water that's being heated, and then you've got water going through the superheater tubes that's getting heated again. Or I'm sorry, not water, but you've got steam going through the superheater tubes that are being heated again, and it's increasing in pressure, and you're getting absolutely dry steam, and you're getting as much energy out of it as you can get. So that's kind of superheaters in a nutshell. It's not the best way to explain it, but that's what it is. And again, the nuts and the bolts and the studs and everything are rendered up here. This, I believe, is the blower. This pipe right here. Or that could be, that might be the, I don't think that's the exhaust. Maybe it is. think that might be the exhaust for the, this might be the exhaust pipe for the air compressors. But that's what that is right there in the middle. This is the exhaust for the air compressors. The dual chimneys, which is what UP is known for. Now, I don't know for a fact. This smoke box looks very similar to the Challenger. I'm not saying that it is. I don't think the Challenger one would fit on this one, but it might have. But anyway, that looks very, very similar to the way the one in the Challenger is. Dual chimneys. I don't know why they did this. I'm sure there was a reason. Something that Alco did. On an articulated engine, it makes sense because you've got two engines, so you can have one per engine. This is not an articulated engine. This is just a regular, it's just one engine. It's a one-engine engine, So, I mean, I don't think it's got two nozzles. I could be mistaken. I've never been inside this one, but, it is what it is. And again, these are detachable as well. I don't know if many people know that, but the actual stack here is made to come off of the engine. This box right here, I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if that's air control or something. If anybody knows, I'm curious to know what it is. It's got some kind of exhaust port on it, so I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I can think of on this one. But again, a lot of attention to detail, a lot of animation on it, a lot of stuff that most people would just take for granted. And you got the section markers here that actually work, and you can change the colors. Yeah, a very, very beautiful job. And again, this is the high definition model. One of the things that I thought was cool, this right here, is the feed water pump, and there's actually a stream of steam that comes out from it whenever it's running. So yeah, there's some stuff that you can do to this one. You can remove the badge up here on the front. You can remove the elephant ears. You can also remove the Mars light, like I've done with the 838. For those of you who don't know, the 838 is the parts engine for the 844 in the Union Pacific steam program. I thought it would be nice to kind of get it out in its glory, because right now it's stuck in the roundhouse. And plus you can see some stuff. You can actually see the other step down here on the pilot. By the way, this is not a cow catcher. These don't catch cows. These throw cows underneath them. As I was told by an engineer one time, he says, I've never seen one of those actually catch a cow. I've seen one throw one under the engine, but I've never seen one catch it. So yeah, these, for those of you who want to impress somebody, this is not a cow catcher. It's not a cow catcher. It's a pilot. But yeah, same thing with this one. You don't have the Mars light on it. It does have a Mars light on the back, but it doesn't have it on the front. Sorry about that. My install shield program came up and said that you needed to download updates, and anyway, so yeah, where were we? But yeah, this is the stuff that you can do afterwards in the scenario editor. I mean, you can take off the elephant ears, you can take off the Mars light if you want to have it the way it was delivered, I should say. When this came to the Union Pacific, they didn't have the Mars light on it. That was something they added about a year later in 45. And that actually ran in excursion service for a long time without it because the smoke box is worn. But yeah, I mean, you can do this configuration here. You can renumber them anything from 800 to 844. I'm sorry, 820 or 835 to 844, I should say. Because you can only number them FEF-3. We found that out. But yeah, these are the two black ones. This is actually the FEF-3 HD black, HD Advanced black, and then this is the HD Advanced with the white wall tires and the trim work, and then the black version. And if you're so inclined, you can get the Overland liveries, which are these beautiful little works right here. Same engine, 840, 841. You can get it in silver and gray, which is what the 840's got on it, and then you can get it in the silver and yellow, which is the way 844 was done up, was the silver and yellow. The Challenger was done in the silver stripe, and 840 was done in the silver stripe, and I know 844 was done in the yellow. Very, very nice looking liveries, and they've got tenders to match them. I just didn't put them out here. And yeah, you see that train right there? That train's just begging to be pulled. And I think what we're going to do is we're not going to take out the 844. It has plenty of time out in the sun. We're going to take little brother out. I think that's what we're going to do in the next video. We'll take the 838 and put her on the main line and let her stretch her legs out and give her one last hurrah before they rob the rest of the parts off of her to keep 844 running. Kind of sad. I don't think there's not much left of this one. I think they've taken the rods off of it. I don't remember if they've taken the smoke box cover off or not, but I think that was getting ready to happen. 844 is getting worn out, people. I hate to say it. It's just what happens. I mean, it's a bang-up engine. It's a very, very powerful engine, but it's old. This engine never got retired, the 844. It's been on the roster since the day it was delivered to Union Pacific. It never got taken out of service. It is the longest running steam locomotive on a Class 1 railroad in the world. It's not the oldest, but it's the longest running. And it's been in, like I said, it's been in continuous service. It's showing its age. So with that being said, the sun is starting to set, and I think it's time to go take a train ride. So with that, I am going to say, if you're willing to stick around, I'll show you how to fire this thing, and we'll try and run it up over Sherman Hill, take it up to Laramie, with I think I've got 16 cars over there, no diesel. And what I'll do is, off camera, I'll slide 838 over there, and we'll get her ready to go. So hope to see you in the next video. Bye, guys.